The laugh cut through the courtroom like broken glass. Not loud, not cruel, amused. The judge's eyes flicked up from a letter to my parents' faces, and in that half-second I felt the floor tilt beneath them. My mother's smile stalled mid-curve. My father's proud posture stiffened like a statue bracing for a crack. I didn't move. I breathed. I counted the seconds between heartbeats and waited for the damage to land. A moment earlier, their voices had filled the room with certainty. Ownership, victory, erasure. I watched my mother mouth the word ours as if she were tasting it. 3 vacation homes in the Florida Keys. Sun-bleached decks. Rental income. A future they'd already spent in their heads. And me. I was a footnote they'd crossed out with a pen that never ran dry. The judge turned a page. That sound paper sliding was the loudest thing I'd heard all day. Weeks earlier, I'd sat at the same table, hands folded, listening to my father explain why betrayal was necessary. He used words like practical and clean. He didn't look at me when he said my name. My mother nodded along, eyes sharp, already calculating the division. The air smelled like coffee and inevitability. They said I was emotional. They said I'd squander it. They said I didn't deserve a cent. I remembered being 10, sitting in a dock in the Keys, my father teaching me how to tie a knot that wouldn't slip. If you do it right, he said, it holds under pressure. Hesmold. Then a real one. I held on taut hat memory longer than I should have. By the time the lawyers started circling, the house had gone quiet, not peaceful. Quiet like I held breath. I watched documents move without my name on them. I watched signatures bloom where mine should have been. I watched me parents become adversaries who slept just fine. The pressure ramped up fast. A voicemail from my mother, clipped and surgical. A text from my father reminding me to be reasonable. In court, my mother leaned over and whispered, "Don't embarrass yourself." I didn't answer. I stared at the grain of the table and felt something cold settle behind my ribs. Anger wanted to scream. Grief wanted to beg. I fed neither. I let them sit. I let them sharpen. The trigger came when me mother laughed, not at a joke, at a number. The projected income from the rentals. She laughed like the world had finally corrected itself. That was when I decided to stop hoping they'd remember who I was. I became careful, quiet, precise. I revisited the past with a different lens. Old emails, old agreements. The trust my grandfather had set up after the hurricane season that nearly wiped one house out. The clause no one read because it was buried beneath goodwill and assumptions. I read it twice, then again. I hired noon at first. I didn't need noise. It needed proof. I wrote a letter. Not emotional. Not accusatory. Clean, attached, exhibits, dates, signatures, a copy of a notarized amendment filed years ago, activated only under specific conditions, conditions my parents had met the moment they tried to cut me out. They never asked what I was doing. They didn't think I was capable. Back in the courtroom, the judge cleared his throat. My father's jaw tightened. My mother leaned forward, confusion creasing her face. The judge looked at me then just once like he was confirming a hunch. "Counsel," he said, still smiling. "You may want to review Exhibit C." My mother shook her head. "That's not relevant." The judge's smile faded. "It's decisive." Silence. A clerk passed papers. My father read fast, then slower, then not at all. My mother's face drained of color as if someone had pulled a plug. "That's impossible," she said. Her voice cracked in the last word. The judge spoke gently. "According to this, the properties revert to the beneficiary you attempted to exclude." He tapped my letter. "All 3. I met my parents' eyes. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I let the truth do its work. The fallout was surgical. Ownership transferred. Claims dismissed. Costs assigned. Outside, my father tried to speak. He walked past him. My mother stood frozen, staring at the courthouse steps like they'd betrayed her, too. The Keys would see me again. Not as a guest, as the holder. Relationships don't always explode. Sometimes they just collapse inward. Neat and final. I changed the locks, I restructured the rentals. I donated the first month's income to hurricane relief. I kept the dock. I kept the knot. Now, when I think about that laugh, I understand it. It wasn't mockery. It was appreciation for preparation, for restraint, for a story that ended exactly where it should have. Betrayal teaches you what pressure reveals. Do it right and nothing slips.